Review for The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, Chapter 3 through 5 quiz. Questions and answer choices for this quiz were randomized, so although this appears as question 1, it may not have been question 1 for you. Question 1. Read the sentence from page 22. "Bruno's not 9, he's only 6, said one particular monster over and over again in a sing-song voice, dancing around him and poking him in the ribs. What feelings and ideas does the author most likely hope to invoke in the reader by using the word monster in the sentence from page 22? This is the correct answer. It develops the idea that Bruno strongly dislikes Gretel's friends and views them as an irritation. The word monster is used figuratively, it's not an actual monster, but that's how he portrays Gretel's friends, because they like to tease him and pick on him. Question 2. Read the excerpt from page 22. "Then why are you so small?" asked the monster. "All the 9-year-olds are bigger than you." And this was true, and a particular sore point for Bruno. It was the source of constant disappointment to him that he wasn't as tall as any of the other boys in his class. In fact, he only came up to their shoulders. Whenever he walked along the streets with Carl, Daniel, and Martin, people sometimes mistook him for the younger brother of one of them, when in fact, he was the second oldest. Based on the details in the text, what can the reader infer about Bruno's character? That Bruno is sensitive to other people's opinions and is often overlooked. He is sensitive to other people's opinions because this was a sore point for Bruno. It was a constant source of disappointment. He's often overlooked because sometimes people mistook him for being younger than he really is. And in fact, he is actually the second oldest. Question 3. Read the conversation between Bruno and Gretel on page 24. "That's all right then," said Bruno, "as long as it's just for the foreseeable future and not for a month. I hate it here." Gretel looked at her little brother and found herself agreeing with him for once. "I know what you mean," she said. "It's not very nice, is it?" "It's horrible," said Bruno. "Well, yes," said Gretel, acknowledging that. "It's horrible right now, but once the house is smartened up a bit, it probably won't seem so bad. I heard Father say that whoever lived here at Outwith before us lost their job very quickly and didn't have time to make the place nice for us." What can the reader infer about Gretel's character by the way she responds? From this text, we can see that she's more mature than her brother because she's willing to accept the situation and can see the positive side. She talks about it being horrible right now, but she knows that that can change. She's saying once the house is smartened up, it probably won't seem so bad. So this is her way of having that positive side. Question 4. Read the excerpt from page 29. "Well," he said, turning around and seeing his sister standing in the doorway, clutching the doll, her golden pigtails perfectly balanced on each shoulder, ripe for the pull-in. "Don't you want to see them?" What does the phrase, "ripe for the pull-in," reveal about Bruno and Gretel's relationship? They enjoy sibling rivalry and teasing each other. The fact that her golden pigtails were ripe for pull-in shows that sense of sibling rivalry and teasing, that he would really like to pull on her pigtails, probably something that she wouldn't like, but he would get great amusement out of. Question 5. Bruno and Gretel spend chapter 4 debating an explanation for what they see outside the window. What does this conversation suggest about Bruno and Gretel? They have never seen anything like it before and they don't understand it. They go back and forth trying to make sense of what they're seeing, when what they're seeing out the window is Auschwitz, the concentration camp. The people that they see in the striped pajamas are the inmates, the Jews that have been captured and sent to Auschwitz. Question 6. What literary device is used in the first 3 pages of chapter 5 when the reader learns that Father hadn't left Berlin in the car with them that morning? Page 39. The answer is a flashback. At this point, they've already left for Berlin, but now we're finding out what happened as they were leaving, so we're going back in time. This is the sentence from the question. So Father hadn't left Berlin in the car with them that morning. When we go down to the third paragraph, it talks about it was on this final morning when the house looked empty and not like they were home at all. That all the very last things they owned were put into suitcases and in an official car with red and black flags on the front that had stopped at their door to take them away. These red and black flags, this would be the Nazi symbol, the swastika. As the chapter continues, we get taken back in time when this really happens. We find out what's going on. We talk about the mother and she regrets that the Fury came. We find out what the journey was like somewhat because it talks about the train. Question 7. What piece of evidence best supports the idea that Bruno's father is the officer in charge? B. Father was at the center of all of them. He looked very smart in his freshly pressed uniform. The fact that he is the center, he's the person where all of the attention is being drawn from, would suggest that he's the officer in charge. Being the central focus means that you're important. Question 8. Read the paragraph from page 43. Father held a hand in the air which immediately caused the other men to fall silent. It was as if he was a conductor of a barbershop quartet. What type of literary device does the author use to illustrate the leadership Bruno's father has over these soldiers? And the correct answer would be a simile. A simile is a comparison of two unlike things. We are comparing he, Bruno's father, to a conductor of a barbershop quartet. Question 9. On page 43, the author uses a simile to compare the Nazi soldiers to a toy. What ideas does the author most likely hope to invoke in the reader by using this comparison? The Nazi soldiers follow orders without originality of thought. They are all the same, they cannot think for themselves, just like toys. Toys are manipulated by children. The Nazis are manipulated by Hitler. They fall in line just as toy soldiers would. They don't express concern for the things that they're doing. They follow all orders and never question it. Question 10. Select the best piece of evidence that shows Bruno's father does not believe that all people are equal. Those people, well, they're not people at all. The fact that he can take one group of people and isolate them and say they're not people shows that he doesn't believe all people are equal. He's saying they're not like you and me, that we're better than them. We shouldn't treat them the same. He's saying we don't all have the same rights, that we can be grouped into categories and we're not all equal of basic human rights.